The voice of sharing Durian ASEAN.
Hey, this is Arlene, and you're listening to Durian ASEAN, the voice of discovery and sharing.
Hi, this is Gowri. You are listening to Duran ASEAN, and we are moving on to our news commentary for this morning.
Oh yeah, a lot of exciting thing is happening right now, and actually a lot of exciting thing had been happening yesterday as well. Once and for all, we just want to let you know, for those who are Muslim, happy Ramadan. Today is like this is almost the first week
That's
of
right.
Ramadan fasting period. And also, just to let you know, if you want to catch us live right now, you can either go to www.durianasean.com, or you can.
Or you can, of course, tune in to us on your smartphone. You can just download the TuneIn app and tune in to us.
Oh yeah, definitely. And of course, if you want to know the latest updates from us, you can always go to our Facebook at durianasean.com, as well as Twitter. If you want to engage with us, have a conversation with us, Twitter would be the best way. And also, if they want to receive our weekly digest, where they can go?
They can send us an email at duranasean@gmail.com, and we'll give them a list of all our weekly topics and speakers.
Okay. With that, we will start off our news today with a very interesting story.
Yeah, actually, yesterday you missed a really interesting interview with a Brazilian guy who
Oh
gave us all the
yeah,
scoops
I
about
did
what's
miss
happening.
it. Oh yeah, what happened?
Yeah, he was telling us a lot about the riots, how he joined the riots, and how the people there are not happy with the World Cup being hosted there. At the same time, he's also torn because he really loves football.
Everybody loves
Yeah,
football, of
he's
course.
like in this major dilemma. He's like, I really like football, but I don't like that the government is spending all this money. But I also want to support the team. I want Brazil to win, but I don't want the government to waste so much money building all these stadiums. So yeah, that was like a major ethical conundrum, I think, for
I
him.
see.
Yeah.
I mean, even with us, I think it will be the same. A lot of my friends, who are a bit more on the socialist side, they said this World Cup is the World Cup that they didn't really follow the most, even though it's so exciting, because
Actually, that's true.
they want to sort of convey their sympathy and their solidarity towards the people of Brazil.
Right.
What about yours? I mean,
Well, actually, mine is not so much on the sympathetic side, but I just, for some reason, I'm not really feeling it this time with this World Cup.
that's
Maybe
true.
it's because like Spain is already out, but I mean there's still Germany and France, which is happening tomorrow. That's gonna be a really interesting match. But
Yeah.
for some reason, I just don't feel as excited about it this year as I usually am.
Me too. I mean, when I was younger, I guess even 4 years ago, I was really excited whenever there's World Cup. But now,
Yeah, like back in 2002, 2006,
yeah.
even 2010.
Can you imagine? I stay back later at night, even though there's work the next morning, in McDonald's, because
Wow.
that's like the nicest place to go rather than Mama. In 2006, just to watch a match that I like, which is involving Holland.
Of course.
Yeah.
So Holland is still in, so you should be excited about that.
Oh yeah, this weekend definitely will be watching the football with you. And to kickstart our news today, talking about riot, there's an internet riot of memes.
Oh yeah, the memes. Huh?
Yeah. So what actually happened yesterday?
Well, it seems that there's been a big collapse near Jalan Pudu, Jalan Hang Tuah, and this morning actually because I take the train, I saw that the trains are actually close to Jalan Hang Tuah and Jalan Imbi because of what happened yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, even the train track itself got a bit of I won't say damage. It's just that it wasn't as well connected as before the sinkhole happened.
Right.
So apparently there's an underground tunnel that is currently being constructed. It's constructed right under the Jalan Pudu, Jalan Hang Tuah,
Right.
the section in Kuala Lumpur, and it was collapsed yesterday. And the incident proved to be a big issue because it disrupted not just the LRT
Right.
path but also the traffic, causing a terrible long traffic that halted the entire road
Oh yeah, I saw
involving
the
the sinkhole.
photos. I think it was a terrible, terrible jam.
Mhm.
And also, of course, this has sparked a huge outcry in our nation, and people are overreacting as always. I saw this picture where these firemen were actually placing some sort of like
Telephone tape?
cellophane tape. Yeah, but it seems that there is actually a story behind it.
Mhm.
Uh,
I also read the same thing.
Okay.
At first, people were mocking like, "Oh, that's your solution, putting
Yeah,
cellophane tape
right.
on cracked roads." But actually, there's a reason for it. And according to a Facebook by the Balai Bomba, there's apparently there's a Facebook
Oh, okay.
started by a fire.
By the fire brigade in our country.
Yes.
Okay.
So they explain that the reason is to ensure that if there's any movement happening, you will
Right,
know
right.
it via the
Mhm.
cellophane tape.
Yeah, it goes back to people being ignorant and just joining on the bandwagon again, like what happened with the Cadbury issue. I
It
think.
is, but this time it's even more fun
Yeah,
because
it's
it
even
involves
better.
internet memes.
There are tons of memes.
Internet
on
memes,
the,
yeah.
on the net today, and I think my favorite one is actually the one with Thor and Loki
Really?
being
Oh my
investigated
God,
by
it
the
looks
police.
so real. There's even
Right.
shadow behind it.
I thought that was my favorite. I can imagine Thor landing down with his hammer. Yeah, and you know the police coming up to him and like, hey, what are you doing to Malaysia? Which is your favorite?
Apparently, but to me, my favorite is the head of Rosma, Rosma Manso peering out from that huge sinkhole.
Right.
I know it's political, but it's just hilarious when you look at it.
You know what's also hilarious?
What?
The one with Suarez and his mouth
Oh yeah, biting the whole
biting the
chunk
hole.
of the
That's right.
sinkhole. And there are other internet memes as well involving Transformers. What else? Even the Raja Bomo coming
yeah.
out from the sinkhole, as well as a few other, I think, famous Hollywood movie characters as well.
Yeah, I saw like Transformers, Godzilla, plenty of others.
So I mean, we just hope that people can solve this because if I'm not mistaken, yesterday also I read that the MRT. The companies that is behind the MRT building, the building of MRT, they said that they are not responsible for it. This is not the MRT did not affected the sinkhole. Although I think investigation is undergoing, and I think we would indefinitely find the clue why there's a sinkhole happening in the middle of the Jalan Pudu and Jalan Hang Tuah.
And yeah, they better resolve it real quick and also try to prevent incidents like this from happening again in the future.
Yes, or not Godzilla will be coming out from the sinkhole again. So our next news involving Malaysia as well.
Yeah, it's about an operation to house the homeless, which I think is a very good effort in addressing the homeless issue in Malaysia.
But I thought earlier on Zahid said that he wants to penalize the homeless. What happened with that?
I think there's been a lot of what do you call contradictions in this country. This is not the first news that we've come across. The contradictions is always like remember how when we reported about the water crisis, they said that they're going to resort to water rationing because there was no other solution. But the next day they said that we are not going to water ration.
It's a lot of
That
flip-flop
will
of
be
decision making.
That will
isn't
be
it?
like our last resort. Like we're gonna try all this first, and then the next day they say, "Oh, we don't have a choice." So yeah, I guess once again, earlier he said that he was going to penalize them, or even penalize like giving help to the homeless or to the beggars. But now they actually are launching this Ops Kase.
So apparently at least 4 hotspots for beggars and homeless in Kuala Lumpur will be targeted by the authorities under Ops Kase. Wow, even with a Q there, Kase. A large-scale operation to get the homeless into shelters and crack down on begging syndicates. So the Ops Kase to be launched next week is set to begin around Jalan Imbi, Masjid India, Central Market, and National Mosque. It was spoken by the Welfare Department.
I don't think it's possible to live around Jalan Imbi now, is it?
You see, this is a global problem. Even in the Western country, they
Right.
have these spikes. They purposely put around corners where beggars would sleep, and it got the civil society. They're very angry.
Definitely.
They even put cement on the spikes so that when it dried up, it will be a flat surface
Right.
again. So beggars
But the good
can
thing is,
sleep there.
do you know that Canada actually reacted to what they were doing? I think in England, the homeless spikes, and they actually turned most of their bus stops and benches into homeless shelters.
Very
Yeah.
creatively as well.
So that was like what do you call
The benches, especially the ones that I got like really interested because it's like it's like a benches with a shelter. So it's
that's
like
right.
literally a shelter, a sheltered place for the homeless.
So that was a good way that Canada answered to England, I think, and also to tell them that that's not how you deal with the homeless people, which is true. I know you always believe in that holistic government approach thing, and not by probably welfare or charity, but I think that was a very good move by Canada.
Of course, it's a very good move by Canada. I think my problem is, I think people see beggars as the problem, but I think if you see a lot of homeless people in the country, that's actually a symptom to a larger problem. And I think when it comes to the situation in Malaysia, a lot of people cannot afford houses. I mean, a lot of people cannot afford today's kind of lifestyle. So begging and being homeless is the only way for them to survive.
Even for a university graduate these days, I remember back when I was in university, my lecturer actually looked at us and said, I don't know how you guys can afford a house because I can't even do it with my salary. And he's been teaching for like 20 years.
Oh,
So he
yeah.
has been getting, a higher amount than most lecturers. And for him to tell us that, and that was in Penang actually, so that was a huge a disappointment for us. It kind of kills our spirit in a way, and we're like, are we ever gonna be able to afford a house? And there's also been tons of surveys, I think, even when we had someone from Iskandar Developments in the other day, and we were looking through all these statistics, and it seems that it is kind of impossible for people to own houses these days, and we have to resort to renting maybe.
And a lot of the housing development, their focus is more of either for foreigners,
Right.
or for
Most
people
of the expatriates.
or people who can afford it, and that people is probably just a few percent of the population in this country. So if you want to talk about Kuala Lumpur, which could be one of the most expensive city in Southeast Asia, besides of course Singapore, but you cannot compare it because the amount of salary that
That's
people
right.
get and the cost of living in the country is too much for them to bear.
And I don't know how rife it is in KL, but I'm sure it happens. Like in Penang, they demolish all these villages, and they just transfer these people to some other flats or apartment, and then they
You mean
demolish their homes.
the one on the recent one on the Kampung Chubada?
That's been a lot. Like
Yeah.
there's probably one, but there's been at least 3 or 4 cases that I know where they force these people out of the villages, and there's been protest or what. But eventually the people in the higher up get their way, and then these people are forced to move out, and then they just demolish everything and build like a luxury condominium that nobody can afford.
Oh my God. So I mean, but then about the OPS to house the homeless, what is the approach of the OPS Kasih?
I guess this is they call it a 3-pronged approach initiated by the department and the ministry, and it is aided by the police, the immigration department, the KL City Hall, and also the National Anti-Drug Agency.
And I bet majority of the homeless could be Malaysian who are not from a Selangor area, and could be foreigners as well.
Yeah, mostly the migrant workers who come here. I think some of them, even if they do have a house, it's I think I read an article, they live in a terrible condition.
squatters, is it?
Yeah, that you think it's better for them to be homeless because they live in this small like hut with zinc roof, and they don't even have a fan. You know,
Wow.
their employers don't even bother to give them any ventilation for any flow of air, and they're probably baking in there like an oven. So
Yeah, I think the government should change their mindset when it comes to the issue of homeless or whatever social issue. They should always see it as a symptom, not as a problem, because people won't simply go out and live on the street just
Right.
for that. I mean, of course, there are people who are that extreme, but not everyone is like that. There's always a reason for them not wanting to live in a proper place.
I think apart from that, maybe the ability to get a job also plays a factor, because if they could get a job in the first place, then they wouldn't have to be on the streets. So I think apart from addressing the housing issue, you know, trying to create a wider range of job opportunity is another thing that
Yeah,
we should start
even the
looking
jobs criteria sometimes can be burdenful to people. Like, for example, I still remember one of the job criteria is you need to own a car to be
Oh.
able to like qualify for that job. It's like, how can I get a car when I haven't
When I
even
don't
have
have
a
a
job
job,
to
right.
buy a car? Because you cannot simply buy a car without a 3 month
That's
salary
right.
slip, right?
Right.
So I mean, this is so ridiculous. It's very ridiculous.
Well, in that logic, I will never be able to get a job.
Yeah, that's true. So I mean, nobody is addressing this, so it's a bit of a burdenful. So talking about, I mentioned earlier Zahid, right? So Zahid also said something regarding on the Harmony Act. So he said that religion, race, culture must be included in Harmony Act.
And also, he said that the National Harmony Act, proposed to replace the Sedition Act 1948, needs to contain three main elements, which are religion, race, culture, to preserve the harmony among the country's multiracial community.
So he said that he doesn't know the name National Harmony Act is important, but the content of the act is definitely important, as well as the what is being discussed, so that there are elements which protect sensitivities pertaining to religion, race, and culture. So on May 30, the government suggested a new act to replace the Sedition Act and confirm receiving the draft of 3 new bills related to national harmony. The followed Prime Minister Datuk Sri Najib Abdul Razak announced in 2012 to repeal the controversial act, with the led by researchers at the University of Maryland. So the aim by research with the aim of increasing freedom of expression among others. Oh my God, my eyes is confusing me.
Right, and so it seems that they are finally doing something about the Sedition Act, because, like you just mentioned, Najib promised to repeal it back in 2002, but nothing was being done about it, and people were starting to get restless, like, hey, you promised to repeal this, and why is it still there? Why are you guys still employing it? So right now they've come up with this National Harmony Act pertaining to religion, race, and culture.
I'm always very, I would say, a bit suspicious when the title of any act sounded too idealistic.
Right.
For example, National Harmony Act.
Just like One Malaysia, you know, that sounded like the perfect concept for Malaysia, and it's too bad that didn't materialize.
Yes, I mean, any act that sounded too superficially idealistic is definitely something that I'm a bit wary of. But what do you think of the Harmony Act? How do you think it would affect our race, religion, and culture?
Well, it seems that they are there to protect the sensitivities. I don't know how different it's gonna be from the Sedition Act 1948, but in my opinion, I think it will probably be the same, because our ministers do have a reputation for just changing the names, but then eventually the contents of the act they remain the same. What do you think?
Well, it's stated here the 3 bills that are the National Harmony Bill is the National Unity Bill and the Commission on National Unity and Integration Bill. However, the proposed received different reaction from various quarters, including the former Prime Minister Datuk Tun Mahathir Mohamad, and reporters say that Malaysia could be chaotic should the government abolish the Sedition Act.
Yeah, that's right. It seems that Dr. M is not too keen about repealing the Seditious Act, and I think it's probably because well, he did make use of it a lot during his time when he was in charge of the country, and yeah, I think he did use it to preserve the harmony and the peace of the nation. But at this, I think that still can be done even by repealing the Seditious Act, because I don't think any one of us here are here to cause chaos. That's probably me being too naive or too idealistic, but I think that eventually every Malaysian wants a peaceful country, and we don't want to fight with each other. We don't want to cause racial controversies or what. Eventually, we just want a peaceful, prosperous nation to live in.
In fact, the lady called Nancy Shukri said that she's a minister in the Prime Minister Department, and she's mentioned that the drafts is not an amendment for the previous bill, which is the Sedition Act, but it's actually a new bill. So it takes time, a longer time to be finalized. This is because it must be in tune with the federal constitution, and they also do not disregard the privileges of the rulers under the constitution.
But it seems that the government also hasn't decided when exactly to repeal the Sedition Act. This National Harmony Act is still a working idea, like you just mentioned. They haven't properly structured the contents of it yet. So
definitely.
for now, we're still under the Sedition Act 1948. It seems.
Do you personally think we need an act to govern ourselves, our community?
Well, personally, I don't think so. Like I mentioned earlier, I think that we probably, if we need a Sedition Act, it should not be for Malaysians. I think it whatever act that it is to protect the country, it should only be applicable to terrorists or people who are really, really extreme. It should not be applied to just anyone who says something controversial.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, where's the line to draw? I mean, of course, we do not want our leaders to say ridiculous things that affect national harmony, but at the same time, curbing the freedom of expression is also something that we shouldn't like over propagate it. For example, the blogging couple called Alvin Tan and Vivian Lee, they have been previously widely criticized for ridiculing Muslim and the Ramadan month by uploading a photograph showing them enjoying the bak kuteh. Bak kuteh is a pork dish with a caption that offended the sensitivity of Muslim in the social web, which is Facebook. So, I mean, to me, of course, it was done in poor taste, and of course, it offended Muslim and probably other religious groups as well. But at the same time, we also have to understand we shouldn't use an act for such things, like
Right.
just because someone said something that is against the sensitivity of someone else doesn't mean that they should be penalized for that. Of course, it's not something that we would agree on, but should it be punished under the law? Then what is the line to draw? To what end that we can say, oh, okay, this is okay, this is not okay to say? Then you have eventually, society will self-censor themselves because they are too scared to voicing out, what is supposed to be able to be expressed in public.
I think that is something that is slowly growing among Malaysians. What you said about people being scared these days, when you ask anyone for their opinions, the first thing they tell you is, I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about that.
Yes, and this is
gotten
bad.
to that point where people are so scared to express their opinion, and it's gonna get to a point where they're gonna stop having one in the first place.
Yes. And I think not having an opinion is even worse than having an
right.
opinion that is supposed to be seditious. I think the right way to do is, of course, is through education and through good values in within society. But at the same time, I don't think society should be penalized for saying something that is somehow seditious.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think what you mentioned about LVV, as they are known, it was probably a bit insensitive on their part that they shouldn't have done that, but they don't have to be charged under the Sedition Act because it was probably just a stupid, cheap publicity stunt. You
Yeah.
know, you can get them to apologize, take down the blog or whatever, but they don't. I don't see why they have to put in jail for
I mean,
this.
they're already being mocked by by society,
Exactly.
for their poor act.
And I think there are other people as well who are saying who are saying all these controversial, sensitive remarks, but nothing is being done about that, and they're just focusing on this one couple that did that photograph.
I would only support sedition act or anything that is under the law when it is physically harmful to other people. Like if I say something against somebody else's religion, it will create somehow a chaos against that religion. For example, I still remember at one point one of the Mufti leaders said something that about Christianity trying to convert Muslim in one of the church in Perak, if I'm not mistaken, and it caused a lot of sensitivity to the extent that a lot of Muslims went to the church trying to observe as whether it is true or not.
Okay.
And it caused a lot of, I would say, physical damage to the church, not in terms of the building, but in terms of the way the way the Muslim reacted to them. And I think that should be charged under Sedition Act. But if it's just a harmless quote, I think it doesn't make any difference. So anyway, Gowri,
Yeah.
Your final comment.
My final comment. Well, I totally agree with what you said. I think that there are a lot of other incidents that is happening in Malaysia, and but even then, yeah, no matter how sensitive they are, I don't think they should be charged under the Sedition Act, because that no one goes to the extent like what you said earlier. It should probably be only apply to people who are causing a major threat to the country. You know, if someone is trying to, I don't know, like start a war or start a major
Ethnic
a
war, or religious
something
war.
to that extent, not just because of a comment or two that they made. Definitely, because like I said earlier, we're all Malaysians, and eventually we all want a peaceful and prosperous Malaysia. No one wants to go around, starting a fight and trying to cause chaos in this country.
That's true. So with that, I guess we will be signing off. And when we sign back again, it will be about Blast from the Grassroots. And this time we will be talking about the environment. There's this one student, she's studying about a subject called environmental studies, and it is actually a very interesting subject. And before we sign off, just want to let you know, just to let you know about our website, www.durianasean.com. You can always log on it. You can check all the news there, all the interesting posting that we posted, as well as you can listen to us live on the podcast on durianasean.com. And for mobile
phone, you can download our TuneIn app and look for Durian ASEAN, and you can tune into our programs. Also, we have a YouTube channel where we upload 2 new videos every day from Monday to Friday.
So with that, thank you very much, Gowri. I'll be seeing you again.
Yeah, let's sign off for now.
Okay.